Hello, welcome to another episode of Speak Your Peace. I'm your host, Ronnie Q. Now, today, let's bring about something full circle. We're going to talk about accountability, selfishness, and choices, desires, and understanding. We're going to run the whole gambit today. So, check it. You ever find yourself every now and then, not on a consistent basis, but you ever find yourself thinking about choices you made in life, the people you dealt with, the relationships you went through, the actions that you took, the reasoning behind them, and the sudden change that happened when you decided to make yourself less available, less transparent, and less, accessible to others outside of your life or in your life as it may. And then, you everything comes full circle. You go down the road of life and you got family, you got kids, you got friends, you got this, you got spouse, you got house, you got car, all these things. And then suddenly, out of nowhere, you start to think that something needs to change. Something needs to be different. Something needs to be more tangible. Suddenly, you're not happy. But yet, it is a life that you chose. Okay, are you negating that choice? Are you reneging on that choice? Or have you decided that you didn't pay enough attention to make that choice? And so now you don't want to hold yourself accountable for a life, for a position or a role you played in everything happening surrounding your life. And oftentimes when that happens, the finger pointing starts. You did this, you did that. It's your fault. No, it's your fault. The back and forth starts. Suddenly, everybody else from past, present, and relative is at fault for a choice that you made. Now, oftentimes I'll say this, that yes, sometimes people can be a willing participant in the choices that they make, and yes, sometimes they are coerced by who they decide to keep themselves around, what energies they decide to keep themselves, associated with. But oftentimes, those things, those people, those actions are often a catalyst to how your life is at present. Because ultimately, when you look at it and all narrow it down and you take away all of the bull, the one common denominator of why it's happening is you. Let's be real. You can't blame the world. We try. We sit back and we go through all of these changes. We go through all these ups and downs. We shed tears. Then we get angry. Then we want to just cuss everybody out and blame the world. But looking inward is an issue. Oftentimes the mirror is the issue. Because you don't want to look at yourself and say, you know what, you really messed up. And you chose this. And this is your reality now. And then suddenly you want to feel guilt-free for something you did. I think we want to relinquish our guilt that way because we don't want to face the reality of knowing that we chose wrong. Then we have to live with that. That's where the accountability comes in. It's just implausible to think that, in our own selfish pride and arrogance, though, it's implausible to think, hey, I didn't choose wrong. They were wrong. Let's talk about relationships for one thing. Although I hate talking about that, but I'm going to touch base on it anyway. You go through years in your relationship, 5, 10, 15, 20 years. And suddenly, you look back at this person and go, I can't stand you. I chose that? When did things get so disconnected? When did the emotional intimacy fade? When did the feeling just dry up? When did the mindset of not wanting to be connected with someone in a monogamous position become so ugly? But here's the thing. These feelings might have already been present. They just wasn't. How can I put this? They just weren't addressed. Oftentimes, below the surface, there sits a ton of other emotions. You got love, happiness, goodness, everything just great. And then you got resentment and bad choices. And then you have doubt. And then you have subsequent fear. All of those things, up and down. And oftentimes, like I said, the common denominator is yourself. It's hard facing yourself. It's hard realizing when people tell you how you truly are. It is the most uncomfortable thing in the world because you got to sit with that. You got to sit in that and know that, oh my God, I've been wrong this whole time. And I know we want to be right. I know we want to be perfect, but perfection isn't ideal. It doesn't exist. It is not even a true manifestation. It's not tangible. Perfection is just one ideal that people try to live up to for eons and it never happens. But it is so hard to realize that everything we do in life comes with a consequence, and then suddenly we think there aren't consequences because things are going so great. But then when things really get hard and the consequences start to creep up on us, suddenly we can't handle the consequence. We break. Suddenly it's like, oh my God, I didn't know it was going to happen. Yes, you did. Like, oh my God, this shouldn't happen. Yes, it should. I think that oftentimes we, as a species, humanity as a whole, relies on too much of the accolades, too much of the praise, too much of the complimentary actions of others, that we don't want to look at the overall consequences of what we've done, what we said, and what we choose to be. Because we want to keep all the shiny parts, but all the dark, ugly parts got to go somewhere else. We don't want to see those. I really do think that we don't want to see a reality where we're the bad guy. And oftentimes we want to be the hero of our own story, the hero of our own tale, of our own adventure. Nobody wants to be the villain. But yet we are villainized through the eyes of others. And then we villainize others because of something that we think they are, or we think they should be, or we think they should choose. We're not the protagonist, but the antagonist. I mean, you have to understand that life itself does not choose the actions that we take. We choose that. We were given free will. We were given the ultimate way of existing. We were given choice. And look at what we've done with it. Seriously, look at what we've done with it. I could sit here and stretch this out and look at the choices in life that we as humanity have made. And I could go through the politics. I could go through the racial disparities. I can go through how the history is just distorted. I could go through gender division. I can go through all of that. But ultimately, when you break it all down to the reality, we are flawed as a species. Because we think we are infallible, because we have choice. I think a lot of times when we don't look inward and we don't spiritually connect ourselves to the universe and to everything else around us spiritually, to everything that is tangible through our own existence, through our own belief systems, I think every single time we disconnect ourselves from that whole spiritual essence, and I'm being honest, this may sound like some holy guru stuff. No, it's real. If we don't start to balance ourselves with universal resonance, if we don't start to understand that we are part of the cosmic fold and that we need to understand each other much more than just a physical and an emotional sense. We got to go beyond that. As a people, we have to know something, that there is an existence beyond our own. And that we can build on that to make things work for us. Manifestation is a real thing. A lot of people think it's just spiritual nonsense, but it's real. It is a tangibility that no one can hold because it grows exponentially. But I really do believe that we need to face what we are as a people. And we need to understand what we are as individuals. And we also need to really, really, really admit that we are flawed by nature. Man is flawed by nature. We're not perfect. We're not monoliths. We are not to be worshipped. But we do need to coexist in a world where we actually can understand and be at peace with who we are and what we are. And I hope that one day, we will reach that sort of nirvana. I really do. But right now, it is so hard to just exist in this world where everything is ruled by a opinion. Stop and look at that for a second. Opinions. Everything on the internet is not based in facts. It's based in opinion. Everybody's an expert. Everybody's a guru. Everybody's a ist. If you stop and think about the ist, go through all of these ist in the psychological profession. It's just so incredibly innate that we sit here and we live like this. But I think that if we can express it with a reality-based expressionism, if we can express it in a way that it can be understood, even in so many ways, and simplify it, we can grow to be something greater and be something greater than just a person that just takes, and takes. The old term give and take. Oftentimes people say they give too much. But often you take for granted what you have. I think we need to reawaken our existence and evolve past our own hubris. And with that said, this has been Ronnie Q. Speak your peace. Like, subscribe, Instagram, TikTok, Lemonade. Peace.